What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the legendary Torture God's career mode in EA UFC 3. And of course, as I kind of teased you in the last episode, we are going to be fighting Nate Diaz once again, attempting revanche, attempting to get our title back. It's going to be very, very tough, considering this is like the worst possible matchup in pretty much the entire UFC, except for maybe Khabib Nurmagomedov for Torture God. But he did have his moments, and of course Dana White is saying hashtag Go God. We know who he wants to be the champion, and just look at this poster. Could this be the last time Torture God gets a title shot, or will he end up defending his title, maybe even against Nate Diaz in a trilogy sometime in the near future?
I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know in your UFC Minute. This weekend, we have a stacked card with tons of solid fights, with a main event you won't want to miss. When this fighter first began competing, the goal was always the same for the talented mixed martial artist: to win a world championship. This weekend, live from the O2 Arena in London, England, the star gets his long-awaited crack at the UFC lightweight crown, in a fight that has fans around the world buzzing. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
Thank you, Megan. It is time for Diaz versus God 2. It's gonna be interesting to see if Torture God has made the right adjustments and, you know, kind of improved his game in specific ways to potentially neutralize the speed and the length advantage that Nate Diaz has. Because it's pretty clear that once Nate starts flowing and starts finding his range, Torture God really has no way to defend against it. If he goes to the ground, then Nate's going to have a huge advantage too. So Torture God has to really just keep the pressure on Nate, because that's what Nate thrives on. You know, the Diaz brothers, they thrive on making their opponent move backwards and just basically spamming them with, you know, quick 1-2s, making them not really, suffer insane damage, but mostly just get tired to the point where they can't really continue, and at that point they go in for the kill. So if Torture God can maybe get rid of Nate early on, that's pretty much going to be his best chance of winning this, which of course is easier said than done against the Diaz brother. You can say a lot about them, but you can't say that their chins are trash. So he's definitely going to be an uphill battle here for Torture God. To start off, you know, Nate, he's landing early. He's landing early, and he's landing a lot. So Torture God, every time he gets caught too, it looks like he gets hit by a missile. It's bizarre. Torture God has fought guys with insane power, but for some reason none of them have even done anything anywhere near the kind of damage that Nate does. I mean, like, every time he touches Torture God, his head snaps backward, and you can see this health bar on the top right where it says head. He takes a beating every single time. So it's really weird to see. It might just be the longevity taking its toll, but at the same time, you know, Torture God, he's up against a really, really good striker, and he's hurt. He's hurt early on here. Torture God, come on now. Come on now. Don't go out like this. Try to get this W. He has to go, and he has to really focus on the weaknesses of Nate Diaz. It's just that, oh, fuck me. Look at this. Nate's just piecing him up right now. Torture God's moving backwards. This isn't where he wants to be. This is not where he wants to be at all. Oh, Torture God with the head kick. Could he get the finish? Oh, if he'd have landed that second one, maybe. Nate moves out of the third one too. Alright, so Torture God, as always, he has his moments. The thing is, can he put him away? Because that's going to be pretty much the decisive factor. And Nate, once again, landing those push kicks to the body. It's really weird to see that. I mean, I don't think he's ever thrown that in real life that I can think of. So it's kind of weird for him to have it in the game. I guess he's evolved more in the game than he ever will in real life. Anyway, so Nate Diaz is spamming body shots as well, knowing that Torture God is pretty susceptible to those. And a fucking devastating 1-2 sends Torture God backwards. Oh, he sends him to the ground. Torture God might not make it out of this round at this point. I mean, it's not looking good for him at all. This is just a matchup where he's simply outmatched. I mean, this is just terrible for him. At least against Khabib, it was quick. You know, at least it was like a 2-minute beatdown. But this is just brutal. Nate lets him up every single time, knowing he has the advantage on the feet and just in devastating fashion. Look at this. Hopefully, he can at least get out of the first round. I mean, this would be a sad way for this to end. Especially because his longevity is pretty much done now. So, literally, this could be his last fight. Who knows? Torture God's still trying, though. There's no quit in this man. Win or lose, he's going to give you guys a show. Oh, he lands an overhand and almost lands a head kick. Woo! At least he's going for it, man. There's no doubt about that. First round, though, definitely Nate Diaz. I would say it's arguably a 10-7, to be honest with you. Torture God did have his moments, though. I think he rocked him with a head kick. So maybe, you know, a couple, I'm not going to say lucky shots, but a couple of very, very fortunate shots are definitely going to be the ones that are going to potentially carry Torture God to the win here. But other than that, I don't really see any way he can possibly get the W. I mean, he's just against Nate Diaz, who I don't think we've ever seen him this good as we've seen him in the last couple of fights. And that might just be because of the stylistic matchup, but it could just be that, you know, Torture God at this point he's past his prime. Anyway, round 2. Torture God starts off with a good right straight, but he gets caught by a fast left hand from Diaz, who's also going to the body. Look at that uppercut, man. Just look at these combos. His hand speed is just bizarre. I mean, it's just fucking weird. I've never seen somebody like this in the game. Just look at that, man. Every time Torture God throws, Nate lands with the left hand. So Torture God's jab is slower than Nate's left straight. I mean, it's just fucking weird. But anyway, you know, it is what it is. Dan Merguiada's on Torture God's ass, letting him know I can stop this at any time. So fucking defend yourself. Torture God, though, he's moving forward. Oh, he rocks Nate. Damn, that fat fucking, if that kick would have landed, who knows what could happen. Maybe it would have had Nate stumbling with his head and his leg, and then Torture God could have gone in for a finish. But this is not where he wants to be. Nate Diaz on top he's not like a ground and pound god like Khabib would be, but he's definitely going to be a submission artist. See if he can get out of this. Side saddle is a terrible place to be. Like I said, Nate's not really a ground and pound guy. He's more of a grind you out and submit you. So we'll see if maybe Torture God can survive. Going in for a Kimura. Let's see if Torture God's submission defense, which is actually pretty high rated, is going to be enough to get out of this. It's going to be close. Going to the 4th stage of 5. Torture God's out, and he's on top. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay on top, or is he going to... Okay, he goes in the half guard. Goes in the top mount. Could he potentially go in for a brutal knockout on the floor with some ground and pound? That's pretty much... Nate stuffs that transition. That sucks, because that could have been money. If Torture God could have gotten the side control, that could have been it. But Torture God has to stand up to his feet, because at this point, if Nate just keeps on grinding out his stamina, it's just going to get worse for him. There's a decent leg kick. Unfortunately, it doesn't do any damage to him. But look out, because Nate is doing damage to his head. Every single shot that lands is like a sniper rifle shot to the head. Just look at this, man. Torture God's against the fence. This is the worst spot possible for him. He gets caught by a good hook from Nate. He misses with a head kick, and Nate counters him on the spin. And that has to be it. It is over. Nate Diaz defends his title against Torture God. And at this point, you have to say it's very unlikely for him to get another title shot. It's a shame, man. It was a shame, but, I mean, if his career ends right now because the longevity is so low, at least he won a title. At least he defended it once. Yes, it was against Anthony Pettis. It was probably the best matchup possible for him, but, you know, he still defended it. And then, of course, he came up against a terrible stylistic matchup for him, and he ended up losing twice. But what can you say? What can you say? He had his opportunities. He went as hard as he could. There will be no regrets. He gave everything he had. And Nate was just the better man in these two fights. So we'll see if Nate can actually keep the belt. I doubt it. I think pretty much anybody in the top 5 beats his ass. But regardless, he is the champion. He is wearing the black and gold shorts and the black and gold shirt. Whereas Torture God, he has a lot to think about right now. He has a lot to think about. Like, what's it going to take for him to retire? Is he going to be forced into retirement, or is it just time for him to call it quits? Because there's really no, getting back to the top at this point. His brain is mush. He no longer has what it takes, really. He's only one knockout away and one finish away from having the record for knockouts and finishes. So, I mean, you have to say he's close enough to do that. So maybe he can get a knockout and at least achieve that. Losses don't matter. It's how you respond to them. I mean, fair play, Lauren. I appreciate that. I'm sure Torture God reads that, and he's probably pretty horny. Anyway, okay, so there it is. This is gonna be his last fight. Last fight, so it needs to make it one to remember. He's definitely had a great career. Like, there's no doubt about it. He has a bunch of losses, but it's not necessarily about wins and losses. At the end of the day, people remember you based on winning titles and how fun you were to watch. And I think Torture God definitely is one of the top dogs. So for his last fight, he can take on Michael Johnson, who is ranked number 6, or Dustin Poirier, who is ranked number 9. I don't think there's any doubt that Dustin Poirier is a better fighter. So I feel like it's probably fair for Torture God to go out with the biggest challenge possible, taking on a guy like Dustin the Diamond Poirier. And who knows, maybe knocking him out and achieving at least legend status when it comes to knockouts and finishes. After tonight's loss, will you still make the move to the next division to chase the champion? I mean, Torture God, he knows what's up, man. There's no doubt about it. Like, all these answers are kind of trash. There's really nothing like nothing like a Torture God answer here. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on. But Torture God, you know, this is gonna be his last fight, so it really makes no sense for Megan O'Leary to be asking him if it's gonna be, if he's gonna go out there and chase another title. So whatever. But at least he's the co-main event in his last pay-per-view.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. This popular lightweight was celebrated by a legion of fans for his willingness to battle the best for years. And win or lose, he always showed up to fight. But the time comes for every fighter to say their goodbye. And this week, it was the veteran's turn to bid farewell to the sport he loved. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
Thank you, Megan. It's time for Torture God's final fight against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. A very, very difficult matchup. A guy who's pretty well-rounded. The only thing that we could potentially look to at Torture God having an advantage is the fact that Dustin Poirier does have a pretty shit chin. So that could be something to look at. He's, you know, he only recently in real life fought against Khabib. So we know he's still one of the top dogs. I definitely think he's way better than Michael Johnson. I don't quite understand why Michael Johnson's rated higher. Tail of the tape time. He is 36 years of age compared to Torture God's 31. He's 1 inch shorter, and the reach is identical. So, you know, pretty evenly matched physically at least. I feel like this is a fight that Torture God definitely stylistically, I'm not going to say he has the advantage, but it's one that he could definitely win. So it'll be interesting to see if he can actually achieve that. So, I mean, guys, come on now. Like, give him a round of applause. He absolutely deserves this, to his Torture God. His last fight, just fuck, man. This has been an emotional series for everybody, I think. The ups and downs, but it's time to see if he can beat down Dustin Poirier. And so far, after 30 seconds, it's looking pretty good for Torture God. He's landing hooks. He's landing lots of shots. So he's definitely putting Poirier under pressure. The difficult thing is, Poirier can take the fight anywhere, and he's going to be dangerous, and he's going to be looking for finishes everywhere, because he's not really a guy who goes for decisions. He's a guy who looks for finishes. So it actually does kind of favor Torture God from that point of view, too, because he's not going to be a guy who's just going to kind of sit there and point fight him. It's going to be a brawl, and I think Poirier, he's the kind of guy that, knowing that it's going to be Torture God's last fight, he's going to want to put him in the situation where he's going to give the best fight possible for the fans. That's the kind of guy that Dustin Poirier is. So let's just go ahead and enjoy this final fight. Torture God is looking good. He's getting caught, but he's throwing with bad intentions. Unfortunately for Poirier, he didn't go in for the kill right there. If he'd have landed a counter as Torture God was spinning, that probably would have been it pretty early. But Torture God's still standing, even though he did get caught by a pretty good combo there. And Dustin Poirier goes in for the takedown. Let's see if Torture God can do something. He lands a good elbow from the bottom, and he gets up immediately. And he lands a head kick. This time it only grazed him. It's a shame, but the overhand did land a bit better. So Torture God, he's doing some good work there offensively, but defensively, you can tell he's not really interested in that right now. He just wants to fucking get a finish or get finished no matter what. Ooh, Dustin Poirier blocks the kick, but didn't land very well with the left hand to follow. Torture God, he gets his leg kick checked. A double jab from Poirier, whose movement is looking pretty solid too, but he gets caught by a two-hook combo. Excuse me, guys. Torture God's on his ass right now, no doubt about that. Ooh, Torture God's rocked. Please don't go out like this, Torture God. Please do not go out on a loss. That would just be terrible. But he lands a head kick. Poirier is hurt. Ooh, he blocks the second one. Can Torture God get the finish? Poirier is recovered. He can't go too crazy, Torture God. He has to pace himself a little bit. I know he wants the knockout. Oh, he gets caught. He gets lucky that Poirier missed on the 2 shots on the floor that could have finished him right there. Torture God goes into sprawl. He's able to go to half guard. Okay, so at least he's somewhat safe here. But watch out for Dustin Poirier's ground and pound. But Torture God goes to backside. He tried to go to back mount. He was looking for the submission, but Poirier is able to stop it. And Torture God right now is chilling in full guard. Oh, he gets reversed. That's not good. That's not good. But the lucky there's only 10 seconds left, so Torture God should be able to survive no problem. hopefully without losing too much stamina. So a tough round for both guys. That one's pretty hard to score, I would say. I mean, both guys were rocked. I guess maybe Poirier was the closest to getting the finish, but you could argue a 10-9, I would say, for both men. So fair play. You know, it's a hell of a fight so far. It's the best way for Torture God to go out. It's just a classic Torture God style fight. This camera angle is pure garbage. I don't know who chose that in the truck, but I mean, just wow. Like, see, that's where Torture God got really lucky. Is that Poirier right here? You see, he's on the ground. He could have gone in for the finish, but for some reason he shot this weird low punch. I don't even know what the fuck that was, but Torture God was very fortunate there. Round 2 of what is going to be the final fight in Torture God's career. Oh, head kick! Poirier's hurt. Can he go for the finish? Torture God's looking for overhands. He sends him packing. Is it over? Torture God! No! I thought it was it, dude. I thought it was fucking it. Torture God lands another overhand. Go for the finish, T-God. End this man. End him. Another overhand. He's spamming overhands. Poirier survives, and Torture God has no stamina left. He's just looking for this finish no matter what. He wants the overhand knockout. There it is again. Poirier's defense is garbage, but he's surviving. Torture God another head kick. His stamina is so low though. He can't really put a lot of power on these shots. Oh, Poirier fucking ducks under. What a move from Poirier, who still has a ton of stamina. God damn it. What a fight. What a fight, man. Poirier's got nothing but heart. Holy shit. Poirier gets caught again. Torture God misses with a head kick. The overhand lands! And he starches his ass. That's the perfect way for Torture God to end his career. A starching knockout against a top 10 UFC lightweight. And arguably, you know, it should be definitely a top 5. So, I mean, hats off to Torture God. That's just the perfect way to end it. Beautifully placed overhand. He was looking for the knockout for a solid, 2 minutes. And it finally came. Just look at this. Torture God overhand. He sees Poirier moving to his left. And he knocks him unconscious. I mean, Poirier was, to be fair, he did the right thing. He was moving away from the power hand. But Torture God just followed through with it. And he just knocked his ass out. Just look at this. Just perfectly placed overhand. Right on the temple. Or I was on the side of the... Anyway, he was perfectly placed regardless. And Dustin Poirier is the last victim of the Torture One's career. So, it's emotional right now, guys. This is the first time I've completely finished a series, honestly, like on YouTube. So, yeah, I think it's a milestone for me personally and for Torture God to get this result. And let's not forget, he now has the record, at least in the game, because of course in real life Cerrone, you know, he's added to it. But in the game, at least, Torture God has the most knockouts and finishes in UFC history with 15 each. So he's going down in history, and he's potentially a UFC Hall of Famer. Now, you know, that's been added. Look at this. Megan will leave you with her final tribute to Torture God.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It's an old fight game adage that fans love nothing more than a knockout. If that's the case, then they will love this lightweight banger, who was celebrated today for delivering the most knockouts in UFC history. A record achieved thanks to his devastating prowess in the octagon with his fists, feet, elbows, and knees. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the...
Alright, guys. Well, that's it for the series. I hope you enjoyed it. At least for this season, potentially. I mean, I'm sure that Torture God will come back eventually some way or another. God wins again. He becomes the UFC KO King. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, for me personally, this was probably my favorite one to do, just because, you know, it's just so much fun to play as Torture God and do commentary. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And let me know in the comments if you want to see the return of Torture God. And who knows, you may see him in a different form sometime in the future. So I hope you guys are excited about that. And if you enjoyed it, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And guys, you know, just hopefully you are enjoying all my content. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.